You've been a sportswoman in your time. Are you no stranger to the urine test yourself, have you?
I'm just trying to
Was he talking to you?
I think...
He's looking at me, but talking to you. That was confusing, wasn't it? Yeah, well, shall I answer it? Yeah, I'm no stranger to it.
And so you're a sportswoman as well?
I am a sportswoman, yes. That's why I have to be tested.
So
Doctors can't believe it. I'm a wonder to medical science.
Not in Russia, you wouldn't be.
No, not in... Oh, East Germany, indeed. No. East Germany, I'm like Marilyn Monroe in East Germany.
Yeah. And what were the allegations that nearly scuppered him?
He likes Hitler, and
he likes to grape women.
He likes great women against their will.
And how did he dismiss the allegations?
I didn't do
groping?
it. I did not mean that Hitler. I did not mean a German guy. I know a guy who sells pumpernickel near where I live. Adolf Hitler, I think, is a good man. I did not grope any woman. Go and look at her.
Sorry we ate your vicar.
This is the Fijians who ate vicars, and other people as well. Say something.
There was a man called the Reverend Thomas Baker.
Well done, yes.
Who boldly went to Fiji to spread the word. And accidentally hit the king on the head. He brushed him with his hand, which you're not allowed to do to Fijian kings. So the king turned around with an axe and took his head off. His descendants have come back to England to say sorry.
Apart from the apology, what else are they doing?
Big dinner, apparently.
I've heard it's just a finger buffet. And what was he served with?
What would you serve with a Methodist, Clement?
With a bit...
He passed the sauce, surely.
Yes.
They react as if for years we've been listening to Eating Methodist gags.
Yeah.
What was having good news for you last night? That was all right, the same old Eating Methodist gags.
He did the pasta one, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, 3 of them are illusionists, and one of them is just a paedophile.
Well done, 4 points.
Yeah.
I don't feel I can add to that helpful. David Blaine, he's still alive, is he? As we speak?
Who cares?
A friend of mine's got this theory that when the crane goes up there to wash the box, a double sneaks in under the blanket.
That's exactly what happens.
The real David Blaine gets in the crane, goes down again into the cabin, has a huge breakfast, meets his girlfriend, watches the telly. Next morning, crane goes up, wash, 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 under the blanket again.
That's exactly what happens.
You know this, do you?
Well, you know, he'd be seriously ill now if he was doing it for real. And he's a magician, so magicians don't do things for real. They... Apart from when they get their throats ripped out by tigers. What? Which started out as a card trick. Tigers don't like being made fools of. No. Is that the card you were thinking of?
I have no evidence for that at all. I just mention it because someone said it.
No, it's quite true. That's how it's done.
But we haven't got an odd one out yet, and you've got nowhere near, so...
Tell us which one it is.
It could be a bit of a poison chalice. Oh, for God's sake, come on.
Just tell them. Put them out of their ignorance.
David Blaine is the odd one out because he's the only one who hasn't had his food tested.
The cabinet all have
Here
their
you go,
food
splitting
tested.
hairs again because you couldn't get the answer.
How does the food testing work for Jonathan King? Does another prisoner sort of eat his dinner and say there was nothing wrong with that?
The other person in the picture was George W. Bush. Now, what did Tony Blair present Bush with as a present earlier this year, apart from the British Armed Forces?
Dunkin' Donut.
It was actually a toilet bag.
What's the difference?
I don't know, because I've never tasted a Dunkin' Donut. Which implies I've eaten a toilet bag.
We all get lonely.
Do. And they decided to illustrate this fact by showing a map of Britain with suggestions of places she might like to live based on her song titles, such as Oops, I Done Deed It Again.
Oh, dear.
And Hit Me Blaby One More Time.
Is there a place called Blaby?
It's in Leicester, and Nigel Lawson was the Member of Parliament.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, you've justified your appearance money, haven't you? See, if I was doing this thing like that, I'd get a bit bored after a while. I'd just sort of like, hit me Bracknell one more time. Doesn't matter, no better. Was that a cheer for Bracknell or domestic abuse in general?
Ian, Brittany has recently been seen out with which heavily tattooed rocker? Do you know?
Is it Cliff Richard?
It was Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit.
Emotional scenes at a wedding in Spain as the bride's midget lover refuses to accept that it's all over. Somebody took the country over for just 20 minutes. I don't know which 20 minutes they were, but can you tell me who that was?
John Prescott.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it terrifying?
Absolutely.
Luckily, nobody told him. That's the secret plan. Don't tell him. It's all right.
From beyond the grave, she returns. There's Paul Burrell. Her rock. That's a lot of copies of... Oh, it's... I was going to say it was a newspaper for a minute. And there's Prince Philip. Laughing as well he might this week. For years we thought that Prince Philip was a bad-tempered old bugger. And here he is. I mean, he's working for Relate nowadays.
I think the question I'd like to ask is, like, somebody who says that I'm going to be killed in a car crash and I'm going to have terrible brain damage, if you had that feeling, wouldn't every time you got into a car, wouldn't you put a seatbelt on?
Maybe it was just fatalism, because she knew the Duke of Edinburgh was up on the roof of Buckingham Palace with a wok directing rays to a satellite that he...
You're out of date, Linda. He liked her. He said, "You stupid boy. Why'd you leave Diana for that old boot?" I'm rephrasing the... I don't think she did write that letter to her butler. It's in his possession. I mean, would you write a letter to someone who's standing there saying, "I think I'm going to be killed"?
Yes.
Well, they did seem to have a bit of an odd relationship, because in his book, My 20 Years of Grovelling, this butler said that at one point she was very, very upset to have the title Her Royal Highness taken away from her. She was really gutted about that. So afterwards, he would come in every morning with a cup of tea saying, "Here's your cup of tea, Your Royal Highness."
It's as if to remind her.
As if to remind her.
Yeah.
To be Her Royal Highness, she had to stay married to the jugged philanderer, didn't she? That's the deal.
I've drunk in that pub. And the other thing is, the brother who wrote this letter saying, "Dear sister, you're completely nuts," then says, "I was trying to help her."
That is a recognised medical technique.
It is actually, they do that in mental hospitals.
They do, yeah.
All the nutters stand over there. Where do you think you're going?
I mean, it's slightly odd that he discovered this letter just before he published a book which the letter was in.
That is curious, isn't it?
I mean, normally, say, 6 years after you discovered a letter saying someone had a premonition of their death, you would hand it over to the relevant authorities, which I don't think are the Daily Mirror. I remember he was on trial for theft. I mean, the suggestion was he was in possession of a lot of stuff that wasn't his. And he is.
I'm having a heart attack today, you know. Look at me, I had a heart attack. You wouldn't know it. On a game of tennis.
I'm 47.
I'm 47, I've still got my own teeth.
What did Tony Blair say at 11:23 on the Tuesday?
Keep going, keep going. I'm very pleased with me. Don't ignore it. Ignore it. No, it'll go. It'll go.
That was on the Sunday. This was the Tuesday.
Oh, the Tuesday. This was the after effects.
Yes.
Did he say? He said, "Look, I'm on very heavy medication and I really don't know what's going on." But you can be Prime Minister, he said, pointing to Jerry Adams.
Alex Ferguson would have his work cut out with your lot, really, wouldn't he?
Well, I think that Alex Ferguson is just about as... no, I think I won't say any more than that.
What a tantalising man you are.
Hey, Lord Onslow, you're a tease.
And you're lovely.
I wandered into a Whitehall farce from the 30s.
Quick, your husband!
Anyone for tennis?
He's got what's going on right. Lord Olsen, my God!
And lastly, what's wrong with this man?
He's divorcing Liza Minnelli and he claims that he's got brain damage because she used to hit him a lot.
Does that look like a man with brain damage?
No.
He does seem to have had quite a lot of plastic surgery done, but not by a plastic surgeon.
He's gone to Dewhurst's.
They've all built their own bowling alley, except the Pope, who inherited the one that was already in the Vatican.
There's a Vatican
They get the
bowling
nuns
alley.
to stand there and skeletons like that. They got them on springs, they bounce straight back up again. Oh my God almighty.
The new Labour guide to what?
Jogging through that heart attack. Go for the burn. When you start palpitating, get your trainers on, get out there. Swimming up and down. Use it as a motor. Is that it?
Beckham's only been there a few months, but he already has a vocabulary of more than 100 words. All he has to do is learn them in the span of... Oh, bollocks!
Was that a joke about David Beckham not doing English very well?
Yeah.
And that brings us to the end of tonight's contest, and the final scores are as follows. The final scores are as follow. Ian and the Urns... Oh, read your own bloody scores out. All right.
Ian and the Earl of Onslow have 7, and Paul and Linda have 12.
Yes!
I think it's an innate gift that I have.
I think so.
We have to be clear about where our allegiance lies, and I'm there now with that. I'm saying, yeah, definitely. Boris Johnson is the man to lead this country back to the 17th century. I want to see a nation full of befuddled people who really don't know what's going on.
They said the leader needed his head examined, not the followers.
And so to round 2,
John.
and yes, Ian.
You know when you're on the Today programme
Yes,
and
Ian.
you have a guest on
Yes.
to talk about one thing?
Yes.
And you say, well, look, while you're here, can we do something else?
You're not going to be rude to me, are
No,
you?
it's just you do Mastermind now, don't you?
I do.
Well, we thought while you were here... Your name, please.
John Humphreys.
Mr. Humphreys, your specialist subject is the life and times of John Humphreys, and your time starts now. Who said in an interview earlier this year, to lose your temper is unforgivable?
John Humphreys.
Correct. And what did he then do during the Today programme on the morning of Friday the 17th of October this year?
It was reported in the newspapers that he threatened to resign.
He lost his temper, didn't he, John? He was heard shouting in the background, according to The Guardian.
Why
The
would
issue
I have
wa-
shouted according to The Guardian?
What phrase did you use to describe the England football team during the 2002 World Cup? You said they were a bunch of overpaid tossers.
And?
And is that still your view?
Pass.
In 1995, what did you give as a present to the then Chancellor of the Exchequer, Ken Clarke?
A calculator, and when I handed it to him, the Chancellor of the Exchequer said, "Oh, what's this?" I said, "It's a calculator." He said, "Ah, I've never really figured out how to work one of these things."
In 1995, who suggested the BBC should be renamed the Blair Broadcasting Corporation and accused you of ego trip interviewing?
Jonathan Aitken.
Subsequently convicted for perjury. By 2002, how many invitations to appear on the Today programme had Tony Blair turned down since coming to power?
Couldn't count.
40. How many times has Blair appeared on Breakfast with Frost?
45.
19.
Close.
On the Today programme on 2002...
You're meant to say I've started, so I'll finish.
I've started, so I'll finish.
Go on.
Either that or the microwave's ready.
Someone had a go at you, remarking ironically about your nice, balanced package. Who was that?
I never did find out her name.
It was Ian Duncan Smith. And at the end of that, Mr. Humphreys, your score is who cares, honestly.
That's what Premiership football is called a roasting.
Do see you in court?
I assume it's got something to do with The Simpsons, which is pronounced do. Just a little detail there. It's not like dough, he's not even listening, is he? But I assume... It's not the radio, John. You can't see you. You can't see him picking your nose. I'm working!
There is this story which we can't be told, which I'm sure you know the truth of, John, about this great scandal that's going to bring the royal family down, but we can't be told what it is.
People like you shouldn't know, Paul, really.
Right, do it in
Just
mine.
for people like me.
First word, oh, blimey, really?
Checking my cufflinks.
I've heard it called many things in my time. Checking my cufflinks is a new one on me. Mind you, a lot of shows could if you go out for a piss at the wrong time. Like Titanic, I went out for a piss in the middle of that, and I came back, I thought, God, what's happened to the boat? It's all these people. Why is his hair wet? Things like that. There's no clue in the title.
Brock Horror.
Yes, this is the story, wasn't it, of the family that was badgered by the badger?
Yeah, it was really horrid. A 12-year-old boy was chased 200 yards all the way home.
Yeah.
He ran in, slammed the door in the badger's face, and then it...
The badger shot through the cat flap. Badger held him hostage, got hold of a potato peeler. The mum came home, the badger overpowered her, took over her identity and her credit cards. She was locked down in the cellar. When the husband came home, poor husband, a little bit pissed, walks in, sees a figure in the bed wearing a negligee, thinks to himself, is it Friday night already? And before you know where he is, he puts the light on and he goes, oh my God, I've f***ed the badger. And then he was arrested because the badger, of course, is a protected species. And you know...
When Luke's stepfather arrived back home after the badger thing, do you know what he said?
You're looking particularly alluring tonight, my dear. that perfume's new, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you been down the allotment? Those sort of things.
My grandma, what a white nose you've got.
What he actually said was, it's the stare which gave me the creeps. How was he caught? Anybody know how they caught the badger?
Yeah, with a jam sandwich.
Yeah, and his signature didn't match the back of the credit card. Coming out of Harvey Nichols, a 500 quid's worth of hats. The signature's completely wrong.
Yeah. And shaving brushes, he was buying his mates back.
Yeah, exactly. Family reunion.
All these shaving brushes out.
Uncle George, Terry, Mr. Peters.
They said they were terrorised for 2 hours. They were locked in their house for 2... I mean, you can sit in your house for 2 hours. What are you going to run out of? Kit Kats? Right, for 2 hours, what are we going to do? Well, watch a film.
Stick a DVD
Wait for the badger to piss off.
You see the other unusual animal in the news this week?
World's smallest hamster.
You got it in one. Pee-wee, the world's smallest hamster. There he is.
Oh. You don't get a lot of R's on this programme.
What you don't know, a couple of seconds later, that 50p fell over and killed him.
Crushed him. He's now the world's flattest hamster. Presumably he's getting bigger as the days go by, so the crown of the world's smallest hamster will soon be passed to somebody else, won't it?
No.
No?
No, he's got a rare hamster disease that means he's only that big forever. God, 2 R's.
He's quite tough,
Someone
though,
dies horribly on the show, they all laugh. Put in a small hamster. Oh.
Yeah, but look at it.
Aren't the Bank of England thinking of replacing 50p bits with this hamster? Just to make your change more interesting when you go to the pub on a Saturday night.
Quite hard to get in the parking meter, though.
You'll adapt it. Just push it in when they're going with a surprised look at its face. So you could be standing there and your change could be slowly moving around in your pocket.
Rod Stewart would like that, wouldn't
Yeah,
he?
he would.
When has the Aurora been in trouble before? Oh, I know what happened. When they launched it, the champagne bottle didn't burst on the side.
Well, that is true, yes.
Ah. Is that the one where they had to break Princess Margaret over it? And all this gin came out. So he's like... He's run 7 marathons in 7 days, basically. He had a triple bypass operation about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and like Tony Blair, jogged through that heart attack.
And very wisely, his partner was a doctor, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Dr. Michael Stroud, who looked after him.
The doctor went with him, pushing a life support machine behind him on a trolley.
Well, there was a man running behind him with something. What was he running behind him with?
Tickets for an Aurora cruise?
Yeah.
Was that someone was running behind with a defibrillator the whole time?
Oh, were they?
Yeah, that's the real achievement, I think.
Oh, yes, yes. Well,
what, did he have it?
Yeah, he had a fella behind running with that.
What, and every time he slowed down, he put it on his arm?
Yeah.
How did he plug it in? Did he have a very long cable?
There was a man behind him with a generator.
Oh, right. And then another bloke behind him with a big
burning
thing
coal.
The whole marathon was just to power one man. He was on the front. There was hundreds of them with pumps and levers.
And what was he specifically advised not to do by his doctors?
Don't go running.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And whose idea was it?
His, presumably.
It was actually Dr. Mike Stroud.
Oh,
was he the guy with the machine?
Yeah.
Come on! Don't want to!
Dr. Mike Stroud wants to visit Egypt, he wants to visit New York, he wants to visit Sydney. The best thing for you to do is to enter 7 marathons in 7 days. And I'll come with you.
How did Fiennes and Stroud keep each other going?
Did they listen to a compilation of Lulu's greatest hits? Was Lulu there with them on a portable stage being pulled along behind the defibrillator? Because if you got the generator there for the defibrillator, you might as well have a stage show. You might as well have some lights, with his costume and makeup.
Yeah. She got very annoyed because the defibrillator was draining the power to the stage. Just to show, hey! Come on!
She does get angry about these things.
She can turn, Lulu.
On a sixpence. Yeah. On a sixpence, that woman.
Yeah, that's what they said on Top Gear, actually. They road tested her last week.
She does 48 miles to the gallon, did you know that, Lulu? The top comes down in hot weather. This happens to a lot of 60s pop singers. You turn up at the station at 11:30 at night, the chances are the minicab that picks you up will be Petula Clark. Don't ask to go downtown, she's heard it 1,000 times before.
Next, if this were the future, what would I be doing?
Folk music.
Yeah, this is the Japanese have come up with a new mobile phone that works with the bones in your ear, and so when you want to make a call, you just put the finger in your ear, and you can hear. And this is the new. Yeah, looking at me as if I'm making it up. And it's a new mobile phone. You put your finger in your ear, and when you've got a cross line, you put a finger in that ear. And if it's somebody you don't want to speak to, you stick a finger. I don't really know.
You wouldn't want to get a fax, though, would you?
No.
Ian, whose side are the gnomes on in Lord of the Rings?
They're all over the place, but they're very small. You can't really see them, so it's difficult to count.
I would love it if that had been one of the outtakes from Lord of the Rings. If you, in all your gear, somebody, one of the hobbits had gone, what about gnomes? And Gandalf had just gone, they're very small, they're hard to count. But Gandalf, just shut up, will you?
For an extra point.
Pixies? Don't ask me about pixies.
He could take on an orc, get the hoe right in.
He'd have a gnome. You think that gnome could take an orc?
Yeah.
Have you seen
No problem.
If you had 5 of them riding on squirrels, they could do it. I was in Australia, and I met the bloke who's the Australian Darth Vader. No, seriously, there's a bloke who, because Prowse costs too much money to fly over, so whenever they do anything in Australia, there's a bloke who puts the costume on.
Are you applying for that job in relationship to Gandalf?
If you like, yeah.
You do the voice very, very well.
In Newcastle, I'll be the Geordie Gandalf. Hey, man, I'm not some conjurer of cheap tricks.
That's right.
The fellowship is together. How do we shake, mate?
Now let's have a look at the Lego Gandalf.
looks like you're eating a seal.
Or vomiting it up. I don't know.
What do you think? Do you like it?
That's rubbish.
I've got a real model of you here.
Teacup, is it?
Teacup, yeah.
A teacup.
What do you think of that? That's a real one of you.
What's...
Oh, look. What do you think of that?
Now, that's lovely.
It's a nice bit of kit, that.
Look at that.
That's lovely.
Hey, what do you think of the show so far? Rubbish.
Well, yes, this is a 19th century object. It's very clearly... it's Chinese,
into bargain hunt.
Yeah.
Elephant against 44 dwarves.
Oh, this is the thing where they have 44 dwarfs and can they pull an elephant? Take it to the pictures, give it a few drinks. A cup of coffee later on a bun.
And they're furious when they find out it's an elephant.
Exactly.
The elephant's furious when it finds out
That's
it's 44 dwarfs. What?
What is one tall? They're all standing on each other's shoulders. They're big coats.
Hello, my dear.
Keep it moving, keep it moving. Hang on. So, what's it?
Next, Guardian can what?
But won't. Is it, print the name of the royal servant?
They can name him.
Yeah.
His name's Fawcett.
Yeah, that's the right answer. Name Fawcett.
Yeah, Michael Fawcett, yeah.
Well, that's a very disappointing outcome to that. I was looking forward to a name I recognised. Didn't it involve a member of the royal family?
I believe it did.
Do you not know Prince Fawcett?
But...
You have been filming a long time.
Yes, that Prince Charles was...
It doesn't help that the story is probably bollocks. Well, it's obviously bollocks.
Well, 50% of it's bollocks, and the other half, I think, is... I can't say that on it.
What is the one thing that's not going to be happening on this occasion?
Oh, the ride down the mile with the Queen.
It's been cancelled.
With the cheering crowds?
Yes.
Because there was an element missing.
On the subject of Diana, which we kind of are, did anyone see the startling...
Topical news quiz. She's not dead, is she?
Anyone see the startling and previously unreleased image of Diana in the Mirror this week?
Waxworks. Was this dodgy Waxworks?
Yeah. There it is. It's a waxwork from Tussauds. Not, admittedly, Madame Tussauds, but Louis Tussauds. It's a waxwork museum.
Is it Louis Tussauds in
Louis
Brighton?
Tussauds in Great Yarmouth. He has another.
Who's that?
I don't know who that is, but I bet Liza Minnelli would marry it.
That is indeed Prince William. Next.
Sweet
Who's that?
That's Tony Blair.
It is Tony Blair.
No, why?
He's a lot more waxy in person.
And lastly, who's this?
Oh, that's Lord Lucan.
Graham Gooch, judging by the
It's not
stoush.
Ian Botham, is it?
It is. It's Ian Botham.
When does a waxwork become libelous? Is this the classic, if you were a car, what kind of car? If you were a fish, what would you be? Would you be a shark?
What would you be? Yeah.
Well, it depends what job I was applying for.
OK. Accountant.
I'd be a sort of flounder. Excellent. If it was an estate agent, I'd be a shark. If it was pensions officer...
Yeah? Go on.
Halibut. Did you know Shaughnessy is a fictional character? That's a still from the Maltese Falcon.
It's to do with something she does in the film. Something Ian knows everything about.
Oh.
Goats?
She's a journalist.
Is it legal action?
She's a blackmailer.
It's a magnum opus.
She drinks champagne. She eats ice creams. I don't know. Give us
Magnum gun. She kills somebody with a gun.
Magnum.
Magnum PI? She's a private investigator.
Yes!
Oh, I see, and I'm something to do with Private Eye.
Yes.
Oh, that's awfully good.
The other bit of Euro nonsense, which I would guess is equally important, is there's been new legislation this week governing the height of rocking horses introduced into the European Union. That the seat can be no higher than 60 centimetres off the ground.
What about antique rocking horses? Will they be destroyed in a fiendish cull? Come here, my pretties, come here.
Or just be given their freedom and let into the wild.
What a beautiful sight that would be. Thousands of antique rocking horses running
Galloping across the
free.
Sussex Downs.
Yeah.
When's that going to happen?
Any time now, the
Okay.
legislation's been passed.
Well, it will be televised, won't it?
I would expect
When they
so.
set the rocking horses free.
I would think so.
Yeah, there'll be a commentary by David Dimbleby, and now we see the first rocking horse.
I think David Attenborough will be out among the rocking horses, stroking one, saying, "It's incredible."
Amongst the rocking horses. The majestic rock backwards and then inevitably falls. As it backwards.
It'll be on BBC One all night called Rocking with Horses.
This could have far-reaching consequences. Already they've had to make a few cuts to the script for Finding Nemo 2, which now reads, oh, there he is.
You haven't seen the film, have you? He's in an aquarium in Sydney.
This really bothers you, doesn't it?
Yeah, I just hate this misrepresentation of poor old Nemo.
We'll crack on, shall we?
Yeah.
What is Finding Nemo all about, then? Is it in the title?
Finding this fish. But it's not as easy as Kirsty made out, which is just annoying when the questioner knows nothing about the question. They're supposedly a newsreader.
Yeah.
No, that's ridiculous.
Bring on the autocue. Finding Nemo.
Her name was Tiffany Roberts, and what she had is known as foreign accent syndrome. According to...
Very hard on naming that,
Yes.
And I know all about fallen accent syndrome. I mean, in order to communicate inside prison, I had to have a completely new vocabulary with all kinds of completely new words.
Is it time to slop out? Who takes this away?
I remember the first thing I was ever advised to do was take the cucumbers, and I couldn't understand what this meant.
I feel uncomfortable, really.
People have been writing to them via Beckenham Palace, and it's been sent to the Queen.
God, he knows everything.
I knew I was coming onto a news quiz, so I read the papers, damn you!
Unfortunately, unlike you, Ian and I have had to write them this week, but...
Finally, then, who has been declared an unlikely sex god this week?
Ian
Do you know it, or...
Ian, you are a sex god.
Yes, thank you, Will.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, that's the wrong answer.
Well, no, it is
It's
right,
not
obviously.
technically,
But...
it's the right answer.
I think Ian's a sex god. Everybody put your hand who thinks Ian's a sex god.
I think that could
Isn't
broadly
it amazing when a whole bunch of people take the piss all together? Isn't that a wonderful sight? That's what we British are good at.
Is this the world's sexiest man, according to some magazine?
Yeah, it's according to
Yeah,
the Erotic Review.
Gordon Brown.
Not Gordon Brown.
Gordon Brown it is, yes.
Oh. There, see.
Come on now.
Yeah.
You see, they groaned for Gordon Brown, they applauded for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, but they groan for Gordon Brown.
And Jonathan Aitken, who rather famously did that rather embarrassing number about the simple sword of truth and how you were going to stamp out the bent and twisted cancer of British journalism. I mean, I didn't take it personally. Though I have brought with me... This was your bankruptcy, which we were one of your principal creditors, because we called you a liar, you probably remember, and you sued us, and then amusingly you went to jail for perjury. I don't want to rake all this stuff up. It's...
Go on.
It's just that you owed us £28,000 in, you know, legal costs. Obviously, we'd wasted all that money trying to prove something that was true. We only got back 50p in the pound. I mean, I don't want to make a big deal of it, but it's £13,702 you owe me.
Good, sorry about that.
You see, you have been studying. Your soft answer has turned away a flock of wrath.
Anyone know what the Hamiltons have been up to lately? This.
The ultimate cheese party. 3 CDs of the biggest party anthems ever. 50 tunes guaranteed to get any party rocking, no matter who's been invited. Get in the mood for the party season with the ultimate cheese party. It's out now.
So just let me get this straight.
What is a cheese party?
This
is a whole phenomenon I've completely missed.
It's a party where a lot of people go around to each other's houses and get incredibly intoxicated on cheese. Get completely off their trolleys, sniffing cheese, eating it, all sorts of behaviour like that, spreading on each other's bodies. Have you never been to one?
No. I want to go.
No, I mean...
Will they be there?
We've often thought of asking you, but you're just a bit straight, you know.
Listen, give me a little slab of Edam and I'll show you another side of me. What on earth?
He's clearly just circumcised himself. Very neat, there. Very neat job.
You don't need to say anything about that, do you? Nice top.
English language is the answer.
It's not that new a theory. I mean, recently I've been reading a book by Dr. Colin Renfrew that was written in '87 when he proposed this theory, so it's not really new. Sorry, this is my field, really.
Thank God something is. A new theory of how to...
Yes.
Just a joke.
From the woman who didn't know the plot of Finding Nemo.
Ian, leave it, it's not worth it.
Isn't he a fictional character?
But this is just a game and it's a headline.
Well, I hate to tell you this, but you're actually a fictional character. And you're shortly going to be written out.
Next week it's going to be Nemo sitting over there. It's because of swords that we drive on the right.
Yeah,
we drive on the left.
Yeah.
Oh, do we?
It's
Actually,
that explains all that traffic.
So at the end of that round, the scores are quite even. Paul, George, John and Ringo. It's 4 points each.
Donald Rumsfeld.
Yes, it is.
Has landed on him. Well, he won a prize for bad English, I think. Well, have we got a clip of it?
We have a clip of it. Do you want to see it? It's very nice. Yes. Donald Rumsfeld.
There are known knowns. There are things we know that we know. There are known unknowns. That is to say, there are things that we now know we don't know. But there are also unknown unknowns. There are things we do not know we don't know.
This is the man with his finger on the button.
What does he know? Who else is in the film with Brad Pitt? It's Catherine Zeta-Jones, who was born where?
She was born in Mumbles.
She was born in Mumbles.
I only know that because so was I.
Oh.
We share so much. A talent for litigation, mostly.
And Michael Douglas's affection, surely. But obviously this is the victorious England rugby team back in England parading the trophy around. If they were footballers, the cameras would be around the other way.
It's a lot of people, isn't it, to turn out to say, which is 10 times more than turned up to protest against George Bush.
But there weren't any armed police there stopping you, were there?
Good point.
It is a slight difference. And also, people must feel good. There's something to celebrate. Rather than Bush coming's a bit of a downer, really.
Actually, there were tons of armed police, actually, now I come to think of it. As I tried to get through on my bike, there were.
That was just for you.
Yeah. there was...
Boris alert, right, get the bugger. But apart from that incident with you on a bicycle, there was no other trouble.
There wasn't any other trouble.
So the only troublemaker was you? Is that what you're saying? No, please not bother at all apart from you and your ruddy bike. You want me to cycle up Nelson's column?
You described my bicycle as a lethal weapon.
You are in charge of it, Boris.
Anyway, I'm sure he was right in every respect.
In what way is your bike a lethal weapon? Does it have knives that comes off the front of it? Are you a suicide cyclist?
Taking tea at the palace, Johnny Wilkinson declared, "Being on the bus was one of the greatest moments of my life." To which the Queen replied, "What's a bus?" Anti-royal, anti-mine.
You're rather unfair. I'm sure she's been on a bus.
She has.
Any room upstairs? Yeah, up she goes.
Ian...
But Boris, you're complaining as if you're not the one reading it out.
Well, this is a bit like the Queen's speech, this whole event, isn't it, really, I feel? Anyway...
You just read it out.
Her Majesty's loyal government. Now, Ian and Rick...
Well, if you read something out that you don't agree with, could you give us, like, a visual signal?
Well, I gave you a sort of vague indication.
Yeah, just wave your hand.
Yeah, just wave. Or make a whistling sound.
The Queen could do that
she could.
during the Queen's speech, couldn't she?
Well, she did,
We'll
actually,
abolish
didn't
fox hunting.
Well, I don't think Her Majesty would do that. Now...
No.
Did you also notice that a particularly shocking photograph this week appeared in The Guardian, which I hope we're going to be able to bring to you now. There you go. And if you study this photograph very closely, there's something particularly emetic about it. And I want you to tell me what it is.
Has he got the seatbelt between his legs by accident?
No, it's Gordon Brown sitting very unusually for him in the back of his...
It's a teddy bear.
Yeah.
Why is that emetic? He's got a small child.
Yes, I suppose that's true. Well, there's another photograph. Well, I don't know.
I hate to question your editorial judgment, Boris, but that strikes me as not too bad. I'm sure on your bike you've got a selection of soft toys ready for any of your many children to hop on the handlebars.
All right. Well,
for a trip up Trafalgar Square with Daddy to meet some friendly policemen.
Well, anyway.
Yeah, but you can only see half of the parcel shelf. The baby could be on the other half.
The bear could be an asylum seeker.
All right, well, anyway, well, there you go. It's obviously the bear picture attracts widespread support.
Yeah.
You're
meant to be not a nasty party.
Total flop, that. Yeah, well, I just thought it was a bit of spin, but there you go. You obviously like it. There you go. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. I retreat in disorder on the bear front. Well done. You're dead right. You're absolutely right. It's to do with the opening of the new toll section of the M6.
Yes.
Near.
I said that, but a bit more fluent than that. You're whipping me up into a coma, Boris.
I want to congratulate...
I've noticed something about you, but when you came out of makeup about 5 minutes before the show, your hair was immaculate. And then you must have just done that. Are you living up to your public image?
I think it still qualifies as fine. Anyway,
it qualifies as fine. I just wondered why you changed it.
You look like you just got off a bike.
Well, anyway.
Is there a reason for that?
There's no reason that I can think of. Anyway,
what about a reason you can't think of?
Well, there may be a reason I can't think of, but the problem with that reason is I can't think of it now. If I could, I would supply...
was well worth it.
Well, taught us the master, you know...
Did you study philosophy?
Lightning.
Or did you just think you studied philosophy?
How can I know?
Indeed. How can any of us know?
How can any of us know?
How do we know?
So the answer is it's the England rugby team celebrating the World Cup victory. I've confused you, haven't I?
You're right. You're right about that.
Not a difficult task.
You're right.
It's like trying to sort of engage a kitten with a ball of wool. It naturally must go for it. So yes, it's the England Rugby World Cup team celebrating their victory and
they gave me every assurance that this wouldn't happen again. They said well, you'll get the hang of it, and he won't mob you up.
But you have, in comparison.
I'm delighted you think so.
Yeah, you're doing very well.
Well, do you know, an interesting thing about this toll road is also that it has a very important new facility for badgers. Did you know about that?
Yeah. It's a badger lane. It's like
No,
a
not a
cycle lane, but it's a badger lane. You've got a stencil of a badger on the street, and the badgers go along that.
Quite narrow.
Yeah.
Almost. No, they don't allow the badgers to travel in the same direction. Or indeed...
The badgers are travelling against the traffic. It's madness, Boris. It's madness.
A badger contraflow.
Yes.
It's got to be stopped.
How's a badger going to understand that?
They've gone to great lengths, and the taxpayers of this country have gone to...
Oh, I know what they've done.
Yes.
They've sewn magnets to the side of badgers, so as cars go by, they stick to them. And they come off about 40 miles later.
Almost. But the fact is that Gordon Brown is making an absolute packet out of speed cameras, and it's an iniquity.
Personally, is he? And buying bears for his children, I expect. Let's all have a big boo for that bear.
I don't know why you're such a softie about this bear. I mean, it's very unlike you.
Partly because it annoys you.
I see. Normally you're rather an astringent sort of chap, I always thought. But
Could have been a
here you are. You
Barbie
seem to be overcome with the milk of human kindness.
Yeah.
There you
It's
go. Well, it's
Christmas.
wonderful. It is Christmas. Okay, all right. Well, I take it all back about the bear and the badger.
It's England World Cup team that won the rugby.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the answer to that.
It's Brucey.
Yeah, he married a Miss World.
Did you?
No, I didn't marry a Miss World. One of my wives was a Miss something.
Mistake.
No, they were...
On the one, that was 20 years ago. The Chinese thought it, degrading and so on. Now they think it rather progressive.
I don't think it's degraded if they wanted to do it, and there's nothing wrong with them having a beauty contest. I don't think it's nothing worse than building a tunnel for badgers under a motorway that nobody wants to use.
I could not fail to disagree with you less.
OK, Boris, what's your favourite Rick Wakeman track?
It's the one about... I tell you what it is. It's the Arthurian thing.
You're right, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it called the Arthurian thing, Rick?
Well,
on the reissue, it will. We've got a plug for 6 million viewers. It's going to be called the Youth...
Yeah.
I mean, he said the Youth Theory thing then.
It was the Arthur and...
It was Arthur and all that, yeah.
And
on ice.
Camelot and...
On ice. We did it.
Guinevere and stuff like
That's
that.
it.
Yeah.
And we did it on ice.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, did it as an ice show. Because I was told I couldn't use Wembley because they had to leave the ice up for an ice folly, so I said, we'll do it on ice. So I built a castle in the middle and put the orchestra and everything on ice, and it was really good until the third night, because I had all these guys dressed as sort of Arthurian knights with hobby horses. And we had all the dry ice around, and there was 25 on each side, and they would go around and fight and then kill each other simultaneously and all fall over, and the audience would go mad. And then on the third night, unfortunately, one of the guys was ill. And it never really occurred to me. I thought 49 nights is as good as 50. Until, unfortunately, they all went round and killed, and there was one guy left, all on his own. And it's on film, it's hilarious. He skated around for about 5 minutes, and the conductor, David Measham, was going... and he just carried on playing, and the guy, he committed suicide. It was hilarious. He just went like that and disappeared. Classic.
Yeah. I'm thrilled and delighted. Now I'm looking forward to a year of excitement, travel, and working for various charities. You've won it, baby. You don't have to say that anymore. You can go and spend it on shoes. According to the... That's not sexist, is it? That's not right. I can get away with saying that. According to the Sunday...
That was terrific.
Yeah.
The way you said baby is just...
Miss Ireland's victory was tainted by accusations that the result had been a foregone conclusion, a claim furiously denied by a spokesman. Sorry, a spokesman.
A spokesman?
It's a blank look again, Boris. I must kill the Prime Minister. I edit The Spectator. I will tell PC Galloway to go and stuff into...
No, I will not do that.
But you will kill the Prime Minister.
Well, I thought you were doing well.
He's a friend of yours, isn't he?
He is, yeah. He's a good friend of mine, Ozzy. Ozzy's one of the greatest characters there is. You probably noticed, though, but Sharon, his wife, told me that when they went to New York once in his heavy drinking days, she had to go and do some business, and she was terrified that when she left him in the hotel room that he did get paralytic all the time. So she told the hotel, take the minibar out, nothing to be served to the room, and as a safety measure, she took all his clothes away and left him naked in the room. And she came back at 4 o'clock and he was legless. She complained at the hotel, and they swore blind that nobody had been up there. This happened the second day, and on the third day she came back and he was legless again, lying naked on the bed. And she said, Ozzy, I give up, no retribution. How do you do it? He said, it's easy. Once you've gone, I'll put one of your dresses on and go down the transvestite bar. I mean, the man's a genius. I love him to death.
Do you know by what means he achieved notoriety in 1981?
Well, there's a few things. First of all, he bit the head off a bat. And then when, I think it was CBS, to try and calm the situation down, organised this big press conference to get Ozzy along, where he was meant to apologise, and he was going to release this dove, white dove of peace into the room.
Yes.
And he ate that and all. not vegetarian, Ozzy.
I think it's the Deputy Director General. The BBC's appointed someone to look into its complaints, a sort of corporate Anne Robinson figure. And you can write into him if there's anything you hate, people drinking water in the middle of questions. You can complain to this man called Mark Byford.
Mark Byford is noted for his attention to detail. And jolly good luck to him.
Could you read...
At the end, no.
Hang on a second,
no,
boys.
No.
You read that out, but you didn't read that right.
I read the whole thing out, and I read exactly what I was asked to read, and like the Queen in the Queen's speech, I will not deviate from the text.
The one that's resilient to all sorts of antibiotics and has apparently got filthy, dirty hospitals and it's out of control. And the Queen looks like she's got some kind of stomach bug there, doesn't she? She looks deeply unwell. And didn't Sylvia... I might be massively libeling him, but didn't he get accused of bugging someone's office at some point?
Brilliant dancer. It's actually a brilliant dancer. If I may say, it's brilliant, yeah.
God, you're so lovely, aren't you?
It's not wholly accurate, but it's...
Is it not?
I think that was the...
Is it completely wrong?
Well, according to my... I think we should say it was right, though. Why don't we just... Let's just jump
I'm on the other side, Boris, so I'm
not going to agree. Because if we took a vote on it, it'd be my casting vote, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be, yeah. Well, let's have a vote on whether that's the right answer.
Whatever happens, I just want to say...
Do you actually know what the right answer is?
And if you vote with Boris, it counts as a Tory vote.
No disgrace in that, by the way. No disgrace in that. Lots of people are voting Tory.
Yes, everybody now.
Good stuff. There we go. And with
Boris, can I...
private eye on our side, who can lose?
Can I put a new thought into your head?
Yes, I'm going to tell you what... Yes,
you are hosting Have I Got News for You? This is a quiz.
I know you want to go home, Paul. I'm sorry, but it just seems to take...
No, I don't want to go home, but I want to keep the momentum going.
No, that is absolutely...
I think you should have your own radio station. Boris FM, where you just tune in, just try and listen to you construct a sentence. Weather traffic reports with Boris. It's out there.
Michael Howard will eat anything, including Tony Blair for breakfast. So you heard it here first.
Is that a joke in Private Eye in this week's issue?
It is, yes. I think we've all been there.
Have you done that joke?
No, we had a picture of Michael Howard saying, British cannibal named. And then he said, I'm eating Tony Blair for breakfast. It's the same joke in a different order.
Oh, really? Well, I can assure you that I had absolutely there was no plagiarism.
No, I wouldn't dream of accusing you of anything so calculated.
No.
You couldn't possibly plagiarise anybody else. There is nobody like you. You are unique.
Well, it's very kind of you to say so. Anyway, Paul, conscious as I am of the pressure on your time, I'm going to continue by saying that...
it's just the audience. Some of them want to go home today.
Right. I'm trying to stop this programme going out live.
Well, that's tomorrow night, isn't it? Anyway, Silvio Berlusconi says...
Rush. Let me stick 60,000 volts through your chair.
Silvio Berlusconi said, it was the end of a very long day. We had a bottle of champagne. Well, there you go, folks. You know how it is. It was a torrid evening in, you can imagine them.
Do you know what's going on here?
You know, they absolutely... I want to tell you, I didn't want... They wanted me to say that almost more than anything else. I didn't mind. There you go. It was absolutely spot on. Unimprovable answer.
No, very good.
Excellent.
Rather helped by you saying it's about statues.
And looking over at them at the same time, even though it was our dear Mr.
Well, I don't think you...
Nasty Mr. Boris Johnson cheated.
I did not I was trying to. You could have leapt in with the right. All I said was statues. You could have leapt in with the right answer.
You were looking at them when you said statues, and I normally take it that when you have eye contact, that means who you want the answer from, you see.
Rick, you're talking to Boris. The normal rules of human engagement have been torn up.
Anyway,
He's off again.
By one means or another.
Another surge of adrenaline. Going to carry him through to the end of this sentence. By God, he'll get there.
What enters its final stages? Sorry, nears its final stages.
Is it this edition of Have I Got News?
I tell you.
No, there's hours left yet. That was a very good James Bond villain look, actually, wasn't it? I could see you just...
White cat, maybe. Yeah.
Have you been approached for the new James Bond film? You've been a very good villain.
Really?
I'm going to do something. I can't remember what it is. I'm resolute. I'm determined. I'm going to take over the what's it called? Big thing. In space, you know, where we live. Well, that's it. Well, I'm going to who's stolen the cat? Where's the cat?
But before we go, there's just time for our caption competition.
Only just time.
We don't have to have it. If you want to abandon it.
No, I can't wait.
Let's give it a go, eh?
Shall we do it anyway?
Yeah,
what the hell?
let's do it.
Hung for a sheep. There is a right answer to this, is there?
Well, there is. But all we have to do is we have to find out who that man is and what he said to the Queen, and then what she said back.
We'll just get that man.
I'm not going south the river this time of night. You must be joking. You'll stink out the back with the kebabs. I tell you, that Ken Livingstone and half get on my tits. What do you reckon of Arsenal's chances to championship this year? Do you think they should stick with 4-4-2?
She's jolly well informed about all the subjects you've mentioned.
Yeah.
Her Majesty, she really is. I'm sure.
Have you ever met her?
Yes, I have.
You think you might remember that one?
No, I didn't want to brag. I was instinctively going to say yes, but I had to check.
Oh, were you confused with sort of I licked a stamp once? You weren't sure?
I did lick the stamp.
But not the Queen?
But not the Queen.
There's been a spate of people stealing trees from the forest, and so they've sprayed them with a special substance, which is fine in the outdoors, but once you put them into the living room and the tree starts to get warm, it starts to smell. They put the Christmas tree in the corner, their central heating's on, they go, has Granny arrived? No. It's the tree. And that's the idea behind it, smelly Christmas trees.
Well, Granny Merton, have a really happy Christmas. We won't be coming round.
Neither will she. She's been dead 30 years.
Anything you'd like to see on Christmas Day and don't?
I'd like to see the Queen truly drunk. And everybody else is sitting down at 3 o'clock, full of Christmas dinner, pissed out of their head. She's the only one sober in the entire country. That's something that was recorded in November. Wouldn't it be great if she just wore a little paper hat, a paper crown, just slid down with it? One's had a bit too much to drink.